Hello guys, so hope you're all okay tonight. Sorry I didn't manage to get to put a video out last night, but it was a long journey back from Warhammer World in the snow and the darkness. Didn't get home till I think it was just after 7, but yeah, with the snow, it was head on the snow and it was quite tiring, so bit tired after that. So this is officially day 3, but we're going to call this day 2 of the Eavy Metal Masterclass. So how did the whole thing go? Really good. Couldn't recommend it more highly, to be honest. I was really interested in skins, and we'll talk through that in a minute, like flesh tones and things like that. And as I said in the first video, the actual whole weekend was more raising your basic game to another level. So there was 3 of the 16 that I know of, because people sort of kept themselves to themselves, but 3 of the 16 that I know of were entering for Golden Demon. Then there was Amy Snugs, who was obviously been in White Dwarf stacks. There was another guy who was at least as good a painter as her. So yeah, there was a really high standard of painters there, and for me, my sort of goal was to raise my game, but simply so that my B game, sort of raise my A game to this, so that my B game is my old A game, if that makes sense, so that I can actually speed up, because I learn a process that is faster than how I paint now. Mine's all about getting my armies out and getting my son's armies out, my wife's armies out, and if I can learn little techniques like feathering, which I've learnt this weekend, then that's all great. Getting a fast production line of figures out to a semi-high standard, like just above tabletop standard. So, you know, if you were going to go to a competition, you could possibly put them out as, you know, one of the, at least hope that you would have a chance of people going, oh, that could be best painted army. I don't ever think I'm good enough for that, but just taking it from that, splatting the colour on and then getting them out there, just taking it a level or 2 above that. The first thing to talk about is the booklet you get, right? So you get this booklet, and it's sort of like a limited edition to only the people who go on the Eavy Metal Masterclass. It's only a tiny little thing, so we'll go through it. There's a little introduction there. It's nothing really. Talks about the 3 painters. These were the 3 guys who took us. You'll have seen them in White Dwarf if you collect White Dwarf. All 3 of them. I don't blow smoke up anyone's backsides, guys. I say people for what they are, and really genuine, lovely guys. The honesty from them was exceptional. It really was. And the standard of their paintings. I actually said to I think it was Chris Hines, I said to him when we were doing the one-on-ones, because you got an hour one-on-one to go through what you wanted to learn specifically, which for me was flesh tones. And I said, when I'm looking at your figures, I sort of don't like looking at your figures because it depresses me. And he was like, oh, we haven't planned to depress you. And I said, oh, I know. And I said, I know, I'm just a grumpy bugger anyway. I said, but, you know, even if I spent a month on a figure, I couldn't raise it to that standard, because I just haven't got the same type of technical aptitude, and I'm not living in an environment which these guys live in, motivating each other, inspiring each other, learning from each other. So you're almost trying to aim for that unobtainable, and you know, it's like trying to do 100 meters in under 10 seconds when you've got one leg missing. You know, it gets you down. It would get you down. So this is what I mentioned on the other video as well. Always don't critique yourself too hard. I've said it already, like I say, I won't go on about it, but for me personally, that's another thing I'll take away, is I know my limits, and I'm going to just, I think I've raised them slightly, but they are what they are, and but their honesty was really, really good. I don't know how well the camera will pick this up, guys, but I mean, just things like, if you look at that Space Marine, I mean, it's just, or the you know, the guy there, just stunning, absolutely stunning. And they showed us some of their works. There was one with Gollum eating a fish on a rock, and he'd done like a water effect with all the stuff under the water, and it was just amazing. You know, just stunning. So you got all the list of paints which you got given. You got to take these away with you. I mean, the class was £175. It was my birthday present. My family chipped in. But you're taking away. You got. See if I can find it. 4 Eavy Metal Masterclass paintbrushes, which are of a decent standard. I would say that, to be honest, I would say they were about on par with the normal paintbrushes. They're not the artisan brushes, and they're not Newton and Windsor standard or anything like that. So I'd say they're about on par with what you pick up from the store, which is still £4–5, you know. So if you're getting 4 of them, there's £15–20 worth of paintbrush. 29 paints all in. 2 of them were inks or washes, shades. So, you know, you're probably getting 75 quid, 70 quid's worth of paint as well. So I combine that with your brushes. You know, you're coming up to 100 quid anyway. Your food's thrown in. You get free access to the galleries and like the museum thing, which is £7.50 entry. So it's all ticking up to the point where you're not actually paying much for this once in a lifetime experience. So if other classes do come up available, guys, I couldn't recommend it enough. This is the big one. These are great. The painting recipes, right? So you've got your Ultramarines, and it's giving you all, which I know you can get these in the White Dwarfs, guys, but when you're actually doing these and mixing them, and you're getting walked through, right, mix it to this consistency, put this much water in, and guys, if you think you thin your paints down, unless you're a really good painter, and I say this in all my video, guys, the painters out there who are exceptional painters, who will blow my painting away, I'm not teaching you to suck eggs. This is for people who just paint, you know, just to get their armies out or whatever. If you think you're thinning your paints enough, you're not, guys. Duncan's famous thing, 2 thin coats. Their thing was 3 thin coats, 4 thin coats. So if you want that standard where, you know, you can, an almost seamless standard, it's 3 and 4 thin coats, to the point where you brush the paint on your brush is almost translucent. But this is if you wanted to get that, you know, this is for your commanders, this is for your like absolute, you know, those beautiful masterpieces that you maybe want to just stick in a display cabinet. If you're doing 3 and 4 sort of just layers just to get your base coat on, and then you're glazing, and then you're putting like a chunky highlight on, an edge highlight on, and things like this, and double shading, shades and then deep shades, and you're going into this type of work, the result is spectacular. But you are never ever going to get an army on the, unless it's like 3 Imperial Knights and that's all you ever plan on playing, you're never going to get an army on the table. So just consider that when I'm talking about this here. So obviously Blood Angels, same thing again, all of the things on how to do it. We mainly concentrated on Ultramarines, which was fine because I have my own technique for red, because I've got my own army, the Crusaders. So it was nice to learn a different type of procedure for doing different colours. Space Wolves, obviously guys, if you do want to read these, I don't know how clear they are, if you can zoom in, and if you want to pause them or whatever and have a look at these notes, you're more than welcome to. Dark Angels. I mean, just look at the actual Space Marines themselves. Right, so this was the big one. These are the heads of skin tones. Now, whoever put these out, they mixed them up to start with. But basically, these procedures, like pale skin, for example, right? So it says base coat, Cadian flesh tone, Starby bone 50-50. Soft shade, regal and flesh shade. Deep shade, Dunbull brown, Abaddon black 50-50. Highlight, Cadian flesh tone, Starby bone 50-50. Another highlight on top of that, Cadian flesh tone, Starby bone, white scar. Then a glaze of Mephiston red. Red is a glaze, guys. It works. It really works, but you have to thin it to almost to where you can hardly see the red. It's crazy, but it works. And then a highlight again of Starby bone, white scar 50-50. Now I'm going to show you a figure in a minute. I did this procedure, right, but for light skin on this model, right. I don't know where it's going to pick it up, but I'm going to put a picture on the end, right? But because I haven't brought all my film gear or anything down, guys, my lighting and everything. But let me see if I can. Nah, it's not picking it up, guys. But you'll see on the pictures at the end. If you want to pause the pictures at the end, if you try and use the same procedure on big pieces of flesh as you would on your face, it just doesn't work. I mean, on like something like a Beastie Gore or something like that, it's not picking out the highlights. But with the highlights and that, they basically said that would be fantastic on like a Beastie Gore type of flesh, but it's just too dark. I followed the procedure to the letter because what I did in there was I did a shade, and then you do a thing called a line shade, which you actually use in black. You use it like you thin down a Dunbull brown for your shade. You're not even using the actual shades, you just shade and paint. And then you do a line shade, so you're doing like a 50-50 Dunbull brown black, and you're really going in almost like an edge highlight, but as a shade. And if you say how dark it took that down, it just doesn't work on a face in the crevices and things like that, especially after a glaze. It's a different thing altogether. But what they did was they said you've got to go with your own beliefs. Again, there's gonna be a picture of this at the end. But he said, do you mind me painting over the work you've done, right? So that was my side. That was his side. I mean, you can already see just how the difference in quality, which it was always going to be better anyway. But he basically said, take it back two tones. Forget the deep shades and all the rest in the Starby bone highlight. Take it back 2 phases. Less is more, and it works, guys. It really works. But as I say, I'll put the pictures up at the end. I'm not going to show the figures off. It wasn't miniatures as such, it was pieces of miniatures, so there was nothing really complete. The other thing, I know plenty of people are putting reviews out about these. I was really cheeky. Well, I wasn't cheeky, but I wanted to buy this off the guys that were there. I said, look, I'll just give you the £5 if that's okay. And I wasn't. Basically, they said that I had to go in the store, get a new one, come back, give them the new one, and I could take this, because this means something to me now. You know, I've had this on this special occasion this weekend. It's got a bit of history to it now, for me personally. And so, you know, and I said, well, look, they've sold out everywhere. You know, so I can't bring you one. So anyway, I ended up being the last guy there. A lot of people had to leave because of the bad weather, the snow and that, so quite a few left early, which they'd have had to been, you know, meteors falling from the sky for me to leave that class early. A, because it was fantastic, and B, because I'd paid for it. So they come in at the end. I was the final guy to have my tuition one-on-one, and the guy come in at the end and he said, look, 5 more minutes and then we're, you know, that's the end of the sort of class type thing. And when I walked in, he said, oh, we've done you a little gift, mate, for being, you know, you've held on right till the end and you've been patient for your class. So we've give you your little gripper that you wanted, paint and handle, and we've had chucked you a few more paints in the box as well. So so yeah, I was a bit cheeky asking, but even though I was willing to pay for it, but yeah, so this is, you know, means a lot to me, this. They're brilliant, guys. I know they've been reviewed. They're really, really brilliant. Only problem with them, one slight, and this is a really, really slight problem, guys, and this is me not trying to sell it. I don't work for anyone. This is just me being honest. I will use these all the time, right? The only problem is if you're trying to get in, you know, say you're trying to get in on the leg or the boot, like underneath, you can maybe turn the model to get more access to it, but there'll just be some times where it sticks out too much and you can't get, say if you're trying to get your paint, say that boot there, you could maybe try and turn it to like a different angle to get a better purchase at it. But there might just be some occasion where you can't get that angle of the paintbrush to the item. But I mean, guys, so what? You know what I mean? Like, you take it out, do the bit you've got to do, put it back in. They're brilliant, really, really, really brilliant. The book, I'll show you the last two on the thing for the fleshes. So that's for a tanned skin, and that was I haven't got the model here, but that was okay. Tan skin was pretty good. Dark skin, I didn't even do dark skin, and that is, I think that's actually classed as pale skin because they've got them mixed up in the actual book. So that there is pale skin, right? And that, the base layer for that is, let me just check it out, sorry. Yeah, it's Gawthor Brown and Cadian Flesh Tone. Guys, that is a perfect flesh mix, absolutely perfect. And what I'm going to do is, I've got some old painting pots. I'm going to clear them out with all the, I mean, when I say old, I mean 25 years plus old paint pots that I don't throw away. I'm going to clean the hardened up paint out of it, and I'm going to do a mix of that. That's 60-40, but they said probably just 50-50. And I'm going to just pour some in, mix that up, and that'll be my base coat for my flesh. It's stunning, guys. So that's Gawthor Brown, Cadian Flesh Tone, 50-50. Try and find an empty bottle, right? Or even if you've got a little bit of paint somewhere, you don't, you know, it's gone off a bit or whatever, get it cleaned out, soak some water in, and then fill it up. That is an absolutely perfect base coat for a flesh. So yeah, that's that. So the main two things I took away from the weekend, painting wise, as I said in the other videos, I'm going to try and pass on as much information as I can. The first one was the line shading, guys. I've said it in a previous video, I've never done really line shading, and it is as important as edge highlighting. It really is. Like, I would actually say that you could get away with, if you did a decent line shade, a clean high line shade in all your crevices and things like that, and went round all the parts, you could actually hit tabletop standard with that alone, as long as it's clean, you know, and it isn't blotched out all over the place. It just makes the model pop. Sticking a chunky a highlight on top of that, which by chunky it means it's not really like line thin, chuck in a chunky highlight, and that model is ready for tabletop, is probably above tabletop standard. If you've got a clean base layer on, a clean edge shade in all the crevices, and then a clean chunky highlight, trust me guys, you'll be over the moon with the finish. Stick a fine edge highlight on top of that and they'll just be fantastic. So that was the first one. And if you want to take it to the next level, if you want that extra level of detail, then you go into things like, so let's say for example, using the flesh again, but let's use Blood Angels as an example, right? And you might go something like corn red for your shade, right? For your like edge, fine shade, right? Your edge shading, line shading, sorry. So you do that, right? And you go around, you'd thin down your corn red, and you'd really thin it down. You'd probably do it twice, line shading twice, and then what you do is probably add something like 60 corn red, 40 black, thin it right down again, and then you'd literally keep your brush moist, not wet but moist, and then get a decent amount of the heavily watered down corn red, Abaddon black mix onto your brush. Draw a line so that you get up, so that you've not got any pooling on your brush, and then just as thin as you possibly can, just go down into them, right into them crevices, and it blew me away, absolutely blew me away. So that's that, right? And the other thing was a thing called feathering, right? And I'd heard of feathering, but I'll be totally honest with you, I didn't know what it was. Sorry, spit my words out. So what feathering is, right? It's sort of a bit like wet blending, right? But this is where, because if they didn't do this, you'd poison yourself. You'd probably poison yourself anyway, right? So I don't know if anyone's ever watched Tabletop Minions. I can't remember the name of the guy who features on there. He's a crystal brush and golden demon painter, winner, Slayer sword winner, all the rest of it, right? And when he's doing his models, he gets the paint on, right, and he's thinned it down to probably 50-50 paint water ratio, and then 50-50 again, right? And then he's like this all the time. Gets his paint on, right? Puts it onto the model. So let's say he's doing that part of the shoulder, right? The deltoid, right? So he'll paint it on, right? I'm sorry, I'll have to turn it a bit, guys. He'll paint it on like this, right? And he'll get it on, he'll get the mixture on, right? And then he's like this all the time. And what he's doing is he's drawn the paint off the brush and putting moisture onto it, right? So he's like this all the time. And what he's doing then is he's mixing the paint. He's drawn it towards the nearest shade, right? And then he's like this all the time, constantly keeping the brush wet all the time, feathering it along, and he's just like this all the time, keeping the paint wet on the model. But there's no paint on this anymore. The paint's already applied and it's getting feathered across, right? And that's feathering, and it's exactly the same as wet blending. Wet blending, you get normally with a wet blend you'll probably use like a Lamy medium or something like that, because you need that wetness to stay on, right? So you'll with a wet blend, you've got two colours that you want to blend together. You'll put the two colours on, right? And then you're constantly mixing the two together until the two colours become one and there's no join. Well, feathering's just the same, apart from you using one colour, drawing it down towards the next colour, the previous dry colour, and it creates a seamless transition between all the colours. And because you're moving the paint with moisture rather than dragging the paint across, you're thinning it down. I suppose that's where the term is, feathering. You're thinning that, slowly dragging that paint to translucity, from thinness to translucity till it disappears. and that was to watch that. I actually watched him doing it, because for my hour I just sat. I didn't touch a brush. I just sat and I was like this, and I was almost in his face, like transfixed, and I just watched and absorbed and watched and absorbed, and gasped a bit and went, oh wow. But yeah, so yeah, feathering and line shading and edge shading and things like that, just they'll improve my game unbelievably. So hopefully, if I've got that across enough for you guys, hopefully it'll help you as well. But yeah, that's it, guys. I hope it's helped some of you, and if I don't see you before on the videos, I'm sure I will, but if I don't, if something happens, I'm too busy, I wish you nothing but the best for Christmas, guys. I hope you and your families have a great Christmas, and take care, and I'll see you very soon. Take care, guys. Bye bye.